The Philadelphia 76ers have now won 3 consecutive games, and they are 2-0 with Joel Embiid back in the lineup. They recently snapped the Heat's 3-game winning streak, and with the victory, the Sixers held on to the number 8 spot in the Eastern Conference standings, and now they're just a half a game back of the Heat for 7th. You look at the game against Miami, Sixers guard Tyrese Maxey scored a game-high 37 points, and then you look at Joel Embiid. He returned Tuesday from a 2-month injury hiatus. He chipped in with 29 points. Now that Embiid is back with the 76ers, the Sixers are shaping up as a legitimate problem in the East. I mean, when Embiid was fully healthy, the Sixers maintained a standing as a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference. And even though Nick Nurse and the Sixers stayed extremely competitive even without Embiid, they fell into this play-in tournament, which they're trying to get out of right now. But with a little over a week left in the 2023-2024 season, Embiid, he has time to round into form and get back or close to the MVP status that he was at. And if that happens, the Sixers are going to be a very dangerous lower seed in the Eastern Conference going into the playoffs. Before we continue, guys, do me a solid. Hit a like on the video and smash that subscribe button down below, Sixers fans, for more content just like this. So there's still time for the 76ers to avoid the play-in tournament altogether, and they can still surpass the Pacers for the 6th seed. The Sixers right now are a full game behind Indiana with 5 games left. When the season started, the Sixers, they were viewed as a potential finals threat. Obviously, they made the big hire of Nick Nurse, which I've been a fan of. I thought he was going to come in and really do a lot of good things with the Sixers squad. And the Sixers were playing very, very well. And after trading Harden, the Sixers, they saw Tyrese Maxey take the leap that they wanted him to take, and he transformed into a go-to scorer and playmaker, and we really saw him take his game to a whole new level. And Embiid was playing like the MVP once again. Definitely, looked the part of a guy who was threatening to go back-to-back with that award, and he found his ideal running mate with Maxey. These two were perfect with each other, and the Sixers, they unlocked a newfound confidence with the offense centered around Embiid. I mean, this was an offensive juggernaut. This was a Sixers team that was really hitting their stride, and they looked very good, and they got off to a great start. They were 29-17 by January 30th, but then, of course, when Embiid went down with a knee injury, Philly, they struggled a little bit, but they did turn to Maxey, Kelly Oubre Jr., and Tobias Harris, who ended up doing enough to kind of keep the Sixers afloat. And while Embiid was out, the Sixers still had belief that he would return before the end of the season. I mean, there was always that thought that all hope was not lost and that Embiid was going to find his way back to the Sixers team right before the playoffs, if not during the playoffs. And fortunately for the Sixers, Embiid returns with some games left in the regular season for him to get back into game shape and get himself ready for what the Sixers hope is going to be a long playoff run. And Embiid returned a few games ago, and he looked exhausted, but look, he still had an outstanding game. The Sixers pulled away with a 109-105 win, but Embiid dropped 24 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, and 3 steals in 29 minutes, and he definitely looked the part of an MVP candidate. Now, guys, before we continue on with today's video, I want to shout out our sponsor, BetUS. BetUS is the #1 online sportsbook in which they are currently offering a 125% deposit match up to $2,500 on your first 3 deposits. That means if you put in $500, you will have $1,250 to play with. BetUS has 24/7 customer service and 24-hour payouts. Click the top link in the description to receive your bonus. We're also giving away $125 in free play. So the first 5 people to DM their account to me showing their account number on X will receive $25 in free play. Doesn't get any better than that. Thank you to BetUS for sponsoring today's video.
BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BetUS, where the game begins.
What I really like about the 76ers as they head into the playoffs is they got really nice depth. Now that Embiid's back, they're going to have a nice complementary supporting cast around Embiid, Maxey, as Oubre Jr. has really stepped up as a reliable scoring option for this team, and he's been making some nice plays on the defensive end as well. And then, you got the midseason acquisitions of Cameron Payne, Kyle Lowry, Buddy Hield, and Kenyon Martin Jr. All these players have had some nice moments with the Sixers squad. Philadelphia is still awaiting the return of DeAnthony Melton. So you look at the 76ers, they ideally want to avoid the play-in tournament, obviously. But you look at how the Sixers stack up against the top 3 seeds in the Eastern Conference right now. There's no denying that the 76ers have enough talent to make a first-round playoff matchup against Boston interesting, although they would probably like to avoid Boston in the first round. But that would be a very, very enticing matchup. And then you look at the 76ers against the Milwaukee Bucks. That's a team that I feel like the 76ers would have a strong showing against. And we've seen the Bucks. They are very vulnerable. I mean, they look good in some moments, but now they have kind of fallen off a little bit. Their morale doesn't seem to be high going into the playoffs. And Sixers fans, you know better than anybody else, they got Doc Rivers, and you can never trust a Doc Rivers coach team in the playoffs. So I think the Sixers would do very well in a series against the Bucks. And then Sixers Cavaliers, 76ers have more talent. They would have the best player in that series. Sixers, I'm taking them over the Cavs. So you look at it, I mean, you would feel good about the Sixers heading into a playoff series against the Bucks and certainly against the Cavaliers. The one where you're going to have your hesitations a bit is against the Celtics if they do find themselves finishing with the 8th seed. But worst case scenario, let's just say they got to play the Celtics in the first round. Put it this way, that has been the team that the Sixers have not been able to overcome. So why not get your hardest task over and done with early? Because if you are able to beat the Boston Celtics, who, by the way, they have come up short in their last couple of playoff runs, then it's gravy the rest of the way. You get through Boston, and then you're licking your chops on your way to what you hope is a deep playoff run. So Philadelphia is very interesting, guys. They are a very, very intriguing team to me, and I think this team is one you cannot forget about. And depending on where they finish here, 6th, 7th, 8th, I mean, Philadelphia, I don't think they're going to have the feel of being an underdog. They're going to be a dangerous lower seed that can cause some havoc in the first round. And they would not be afraid, in my opinion, of going up against any one of those top 3 seeds that I mentioned, because they would actually be the team that, you know, many people would have in a series against the Cavaliers and even against the Bucks. So Philadelphia, they have what it takes. They have the personnel. The most important part of this equation was the Joel Embiid factor. He's back. He's gearing up, hopefully, to get back to that MVP form. He's looked good so far since returning. Sixers are going to be very, very cautious with him as they end the season. But as long as Embiid is healthy, playing the MVP ball, we know he's capable of playing, and everybody else does their job, and Maxey steps up, and he solidifies himself as that number 2 in the playoffs, the 76ers, they're going to have a good chance of making some noise. So buy your 76ers stock now, guys. I think Philadelphia is going to be one of those teams you got to look out for come this postseason. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Hit a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. That is it for me. It's Lucas signing off. As always, thanks so much for watching. I will catch you all again in the next one.